As far as Nasik Yaakov, when he left New York, like what year did he leave New York City finally, where he established himself in Chicago? And
that was in '69.
No, but when he left New York City after the height of Benazzaking here in New York City on Buffalo Avenue.
Like I said, he would come back and forth. He was living in Chicago, mainly.
Living in Chicago.
Yes, he was mainly living in Chicago. Once he went down in '69, you know,
he would go back
family.
And forth, back and forth.
Well, it was after '72. That's the first time after 3 years. Then he came back because, as I said earlier, Chief Kime was in charge for those 3 years.
Right.
You know, Prince Miriam husband.
What year did Nasik Yaakov pass away? Do you remember?
Not offhand. Maybe around 31. I know I was at the funeral. As a matter of fact,
81, you mean?
91. I said no.
91.
I said maybe around 91. Somewhere along there. I know I was at the funeral. And the sad part about it is that I'm the only one from New York who went down to the funeral when a lot of people knew. That's why I'm always beholden to Cohen Levi. That out of all the people I know, and I know a lot of people, and I was at work, and I come home, Isha told me, Cohen Levi called, told me Prince died. So naturally, knowing we had like opposition, between the two congregations, I said, no, you must have meant Rabbi Levi Ben Levi. I'm talking about Rabbi Shlomo's father, because we was real close. Right. And she said, no, he said his name was Cohen Levi. I said, no, Cohen Levi ain't gonna call me. He ain't even got my number. So, well, he said, well, that's the man said. I said, well, I'm surprised nobody called me yet. So I tried to call a couple of people, but I didn't get through. So I guess the lines was, busy burning up. So then he called back, and when he told me it's Cohen Levi, I said, wow, oh my Isha apology. And I said, I didn't believe it was you, because I know you didn't have my number. He said, no, I got it from the late rap, from Rapper Cameo. Right. And he called me, because I knew him. We was, on good terms too. Certain incidents happened, but we was on, good terms. Because I remember when he used to come to business, I came as well. Okay. For Hebrew class and stuff like that. Right. So he said, said, yeah, Yaakov's my man, this and that and the other, So I said, well, I said, I'm definitely indebted to you. I really owe you a lot, And that's when we started talking about, how they're, pals and stuff like that, and people just didn't really understand. Right. I said, well, and he introduced me to Cohen Levi. He'd say he'd be down there in Chicago running the funeral, and so I said that's how I met Cohen Levi, and we gelled ever since. So just hold your thoughts. So one of Cohen Levi's students right. did Nasik Yaakov's funeral. Basically, was outlined and helped, pretty much outlined and helped it. Yes. To help, right. More so. He major service. Major part. He was a major part of the service. Wow. So you were indebted to him. You told. Yeah. Yes, I was indebted to a Cohen Levi, because I said that you was the last person I actually expect to call me, and he happened to be the first. And after that, all the other calls came in from Chicago. Right. So I told the brothers that was in New York what was happening. And so they had, they was able to get, travel if they wanted. But unfortunately, I was the only one to go down there from New York. My name was on the funeral thing as remarks. Yeah. Like that, right? Yes. And I think I got a copy. I know I got a copy in Florida. Right. Of it. And I saved it. But one of the things, the saddest part is that all these princes and all these chiefs that really didn't have financial difficulty, and no, I was going down there, wouldn't go down there at all. But yet, so they talk great about the man himself and how great he was. But I mean, the highest honor you could pay anybody, if you can, is attend him to the grave, because that's something he could never repay you for. Right. And but nevertheless, those people didn't do that. So so when I met Cohen Levi down there, and I spoke, we've been real tight ever since, very tight. And that's thanks to Cohen Levi. And so when Prince Yaacov Prince Paul's son had a outing, a camping outing, and I goes there to the camping thing. That Thursday, Friday, I finds out that Cohen Levi had passed, and I said, "What?" I said, "If I knew that, I wouldn't have came to this camping thing."
Right.
But I'm already there, so stayed there that weekend. Then I found out the funeral was gonna be Tuesday, so I booked a flight. Matter of fact, I booked a flight Monday to leave Tuesday. Got here while the stuff was still going on the flight. You know, I got here just in time because by the time I got from the airport and got the bus, right there in the Unity, it was time the funeral was starting.
Wow.
You know, just like that. But I said I was coming because of that, because of the call he made. And I said, ain't no way I'm gonna let a great man like that did such an honorable thing go without me at least coming up to the funeral. And I called Cohen D. He did the exact same thing. You know, just like a more like a reversal, so to speak, because when he found out, because I called him immediately when I found out.
Right.
You know, he booked a flight from Chicago and came. Right. You know, strictly just for that.
Right.
And and then Cohen Michael was there. You know, presiding the funeral, and basically didn't nobody supposed to speak with the family. But I told Cohen Michael, I said, look, Cohen called me about Prince Yaacov. That's how me and Cohen D met. I said, I ain't fly all the way up here just to sit down. I would say something. Right. You know, I would say something. You know, I said, because out of respect, you know, I mean, you know, so that's when Cohen Michael, you know, it was kind of hard to say, okay, you know, y'all two would be the only one to speak. And so it was just myself and Cohen D that spoke that day. Right. You know, at the funeral.
Okay.
Because, you know, we flew in, you know, and that's how we met. Right. You know, each one of us had our leaders pass, you know what I mean? Right. And so, you know, at least he was fortunate enough to have people that covered his funeral. Right. Prince's funeral, but more so covered by Stones, Chief Malik.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So that's
Chief Malik locked up at that time already?
Chief Malik, he was locked up, but
he was still running things.
he still had a lot of influence, and he had a lot of respect for him. Right. And a lot of respect. And
so it was the Stones that basically took care of that.
Well, pretty much that far as to my knowledge, that's what I heard. You know, like I say, I can't say firsthand because you know
I get what you're saying.
All right, but to my knowledge, you know, that's just how it was handled. And so you know, we really, you know, owe Chief Malik, you know, of the Arukans, you know, also a lot of praise for that benevolence he showed.
Wow. So is there anything else that you would like to discuss that you would like to cover?
I'll share. Oh, yeah, we was first to deal with a kosher program, lunch program, I think around 75. Right. Yeah, around, I believe, 1975. We didn't, we wasn't Jewish either, but we had the first kosher program, a lunch program.
Funded by who?
By Jewish folks. And also, when we became a sponsor for kosher with Hashaba, right, and that's through the endeavor of Chief Joshua and Chief Obadiah, that's no longer, you know, I see him around, from Ben Zakin. We did Hashaba was sponsors and Ben Zakin was sponsors, and collectively, we was dispensing kosher lunch. And neither one of us was Jewish.
In the community.
But we was passing out the kosher Jewish lunch program, you know, in that area. And a lot of guys were working in the warehouse under that program and stuff like that. So this is some of the things. We dealt with the gangs in the early 70s too, trying to make a neutral zone between all the gangs in Brownsville, gangs in Bed-Stuy and stuff like that. And the house was pretty much open to a lot of a lot of talks, and also, you know, where they could actually enjoy themselves, right there. Okay. So I think outside of that, just pretty much now I said earlier I was going to speak about chief princes. Right. Since I already mentioned that you have a chief prince for every tribe, whatever the case is, you know, if you got a congregation of princes and chiefs, you're gonna, by proxy, you're gonna have a chief prince. The chief prince has more authority over those other guys. He has much more responsibility concerning everybody involved.
Right.
That's a difference.
Right.
And so when people say, well, it's like chief and prince, which one is higher? The chief man is higher, the prince is higher. You got Yom Shani and Yom Shalishi. Is Yom Shalishi higher than Yom Shani? It's,
just days.
It's just position.
Right, position.
It's the position of each one. It's still a day, but it's in its position.
Right.
But none outshine the other. And that's the same thing with princes and chiefs. None outshine each other. The chief prince was basically one that happened to have the responsibility of a standardized congregation. When I used to turn crown prince, I was basically senior. Not only, I mean senior, all it means is senior. Not that I have any other authority. I'm just, just senior, just like Kalev was senior in his time.
Right.
All right. That's all it means, just senior. All my kids, that's males. The middle part, down their last name is Ben-Yehudah. Before that, it's Nasik. And on the same bracelet I had since 1972. Right. Before I changed the writing on my bracelet with the tetragrammaton and the card on there, I had it written in old Hebrew script, which is Zurishaddai Nasik, which meant the crown prince or senior prince. Right. And who attest to it is Quasi-Mori Mishael and Rabbi Baruch. And Rabbi Baruch didn't really notice it in '72, but he knew it before I changed it, because he's young, he'd be a lot younger, But Mori Mishael did, and when he hadn't looked at it, he said, "Well, it used to be so and so," because I said, "You remember way back then, huh?"
Right.
Because I had this bracelet since 1972.
Wow. So if Nasik Yaakov was alive, what would he have wanted for the youth from now to be doing? Well, what do you think? Because you were around him much longer than
most people.
Matter
of fact, I was last teaching before we closed some doors there.
You were the last teacher at Ben-Yehudah when the door was closed?
And when we finally closed the doors down, yeah.
So you was there from '65 to when the doors were closed.
Exactly.
So you stayed loyal through the whole
thing.
Wow.
Then Hezekiah, was now the chief prince Hezekiah, and we went over to Beit Absalom. And then most people that was there went with me to Beit Absalom, and some went to Bnei Adat.
Wow, you stayed there
But Chicago branch was still going. And also the last testimonial dinner that they had, I'm the only brother that went to Chicago for that.
Wow.
From New York.
Wow.
So, and that was in Chicago, and Chicago lasted longer than us. And that was the last one, the actual testimonial dinner that they had, was in Chicago for Prince, which came up in June.
And what were some of the things Prince would say to you? I mean, after he knew that New York, the chapter in New York was pretty much shut down. Like, did he ever say anything to you? Like,
well, the last thing that of real significant weight was when he seen that his leadership was kind of caused a problem. Caused a lot of damage to the Ben-Yehudah King, pretty much in both areas. One Yom Kippur, he told me, and I called on the phone and everything like that, and talked to him, and he said, tell the brothers in New York that forgive me for all the wrong I had done to them and everything like that, and I forgive them. He said, make sure you tell them. So I told that in actuality that this is what Prince said. Now, mind you, everybody left on bad terms. But Prince wanted, to make sure that he cleared himself with that area there. So, and I made sure I carried the message. And most people know I have this reputation that if I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Right.
If I made a mistake, I admit I made a mistake right away. So so if I'm gonna carry a message, I'm gonna carry a message straight.
Right.
And I told him that as such. But the sad thing is, though he made all that, it was a bit late for everything else. Nothing could change. Didn't really change from that point, except that he did admit that he was he was apologetic. He wasn't holding anything.
So, but do you think he has some? Well, him apologizing shows that he has some blame in it too. Maybe on whatever was going on. I don't know what was going on. I wasn't there.
Well, like I said, leader, greater responsibility.
Right.
So whether he say, all right, I didn't actually do this part, I'm being responsible for causing this part to go into effect.
Okay.
So
I get it. That's good. So I mean, I don't know. So in terms of now going back to positioning and who cannot make officers,
right.
princes, chiefs, according to the standard of Nasik Yaakov and what you came from under Ben-Yehudah.
Well, this is a new standard we brought up. We brought up, and I sat down and said, the brothers that pretty much was acknowledged by Prince immediately, it's enough of them. You got guys like Prince Yaacov, you got, even though they ain't active, I'm saying I talk with them, you got guys, Prince Shamgar in Buffalo, Prince Yaacov, Prince Ari went Jewish, so he probably wouldn't, really care much either. And Prince Ruba'al, he might won't care much either, but but he do respect what Ben-Yehudah did. Cause I
heard that personally.
I talked to her. I
did the interview with him. Yeah.
Prince Ruba'al?
Yeah, when Nasib Barak was here.
Oh, okay.
Prince Ruba'al was there with him.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then you're certified.
He respects
right.
Nasik Yaakov.
Yeah. So confirmation. That's what I'm saying. Right. So it's still enough people around. You have Prince Shamgar I mentioned. Prince Nakshan, the chief artist, Chief Shakur in New Orleans. I talk with him. Chief Asel, who's actually a teacher too, and Ben-Yehudah, is in Vegas. I talk with him.
Chief Elazar.
Chief Elazar, definitely. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I got to pay him a visit before I leave. I told him I'm not going to leave New York without paying him a visit. Right. You had a lot of guys in Chicago. You got Prince Gabe. You got Chief Shema, who's Chief Simeon's uncle. Right. You got Prince Joshua. You got Prince Shemuel. Right. And you got Prince Yehudah, whose wife happened to be, now to become a rabbi. I'm proud of her. You know what I mean? Right. So she finally made it to become a rabbi and everything like that. But he's Ben-Yehudah through and through. and the thing is that, like I said, it's about. And because the Ben-Yehudah and most of the guys will tell you, it's about moving forward, gaining more knowledge. That's the way we was taught in reference to that, And you got Chief Joshua that's still, there. I had to talk.
You got Chief Naphtali.
Yeah, Chief Naphtali as well. I had to throw a coin up, with my protege, Chief Prince Hezekiah, because this is how he was acknowledged. So it'd be like, debatable, I guess, amongst brothers and stuff like that. Right. Because it wasn't in person. It was when I was in Chicago and we was going to Beit Avshalom, and he had everybody called everybody Prince and stuff like that in Beit Avshalom. But I said, I told Prince Yaakov that I only acknowledged two guys that studied under me, and that was now Chief Prince Hezekiah and Shlomo, who had died, yes. So so Prince said, well, if they study on you, they're good. He said, it's okay, no problem.
So he gave the confirmation.
Right. But I'm saying that's after we was already at Beit Avshalom. Right. That's why I hesitated. But one thing I got to say, and I'm really proud of him in the sense that he got a legalized congregation, so much so that's how much I'm proud that his stuff is so legit and everything like that.
He could help other people out.
Yeah, and so he definitely Chief Prince status in that area. and he got other guys there, just Prince, you know, legit, you know, as well. Because, as a matter of fact, when
he's very solid. That brother right there is like, he's the epitome of what an Israelite. You know?
So you know, I mean, and one of the things is that like the next generation of guys coming up, you know, I mean, like I said, you know, yourself, Chief Abdiel, Rabbi Chief Ben-Yamin, you know what I mean? And Rabbi Chief Ben-Yamin did something that shows that we had such respect for their order that he could have went to any other theological seminary school, but he went through the route they did and got recognized under the Israelite Rabbinical Board.
Right.
And that says volumes about respect across the board.
And no one had a problem while he was going to school.
Right. You know what I mean? And
nobody said he was going Jewish.
Right. You know, so the thing is that, you know, just knowing that he had that kind of status, you know, going, you know, young guys that's coming up, Prince Nathaniel, Prince Joshua Bell in Chicago, you know, now since they made Rob Zuri, you know, they acknowledge him as Prince. I call him Rob Zuri Prince. That's about the only one I call Prince because that's the only one I heard they, you know, went through that, you know, the area with. Because anytime one guy do it, one man show and everything like that, you know, try to keep it, you know what I mean, like I said, according to the order that we said. And, you know, and it shows that any good Israelite and any good leader want the next generation to be far better, far superior. You know, and any leader to get nervous and shook up because a brother might study this discipline more, gravitate to this more, then it's very problematic. Because you know what astounds me is that you don't mind a guy learning Hebrew more than you. it's when it comes to talking the book and making other strides. That's when people start to, if you get gunshot, like, oh, now he done got in the area that I thought I was the best at. You know, and you know, and I see those things, and it's sad, but and that's why I'm addressing those things, you know, while I'm here as well. Benny Zakim, we never had that problem. You know, you had individuals that might have got jealous. Not saying there was nobody that ever got jealous in there. You had individuals, but the thing was, you try to push everybody ahead. You know, Prince was embarrassed the whole group, and nobody knew something. If all y'all here, nobody got anything to say. Nobody know what's going on. You know, and that's embarrassing now, because you talking about you talking about your elite group, and no one's happened to have an answer.
Right.
And that should never be.
Right.
So you know, that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm always nitpicking when I come around. Right. Say what you come up with. You know, right. Tell me what you learned. You know, break this down. You know, right. Share something with me.
Right.
And because that way, not only you talking Torah where it becomes, you know, your everyday conversation, pretty much more so on Shabbat, but you also want the next guy to push just that hard, because it's like say, well, most of the times when we have our children, we ask them, you know what I mean, what you learned today in school. You know, if we do ask them that, they always say, what you learned today in school? All right. Instead of saying, what do you have to share today that I can learn from? So it should be, what do you have to share today that I can learn from? Right. As opposed to what you learned in school. So that motivates them.
Right.
And that's what we're supposed to do with the next generation.
Hallelujah. So, in closing, do you want anything else to say, or? Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it. And, you know, like I said, any mistakes strictly be my own. And I mentioned enough names where people might, you know, could reach out to talk to other people. I don't know if I mentioned Prince as a leader in the late Nabi Raphael Isha, and also a great matriarch, and Chief Counsel, the late Chief Counsel Daniel Ben Dan Isha, Princess Tamar, who also been around a long time. Right. I know I mentioned Prince Rita, so that's a hop, skip, and jump, and you know, and plus, you know, a husband. Right. So But that's pretty much what Ben-Yehudah was about, in a nutshell. You know, we had our good highs and our lows, and sometimes our lows, though our lows went, you know, closest as an immediate congregation. I like to leave with this here, that there's some people that set up with Ben-Yehudah, even though they named and going the thing at Beit Shalom, they're still there. Also in Chicago, the majority of the people in Beit Shalom, Ben-Yehudah, Ethiopian Hebrew congregation,
right,
a lot of them was from Ben-Yehudah and from Chicago branch. And also they have still a small sect in I think Maryland, Baltimore. They call themselves Ben-Yehudah, and that's also a combination of Ben-Yehudah as
Brother
well.
Aish is from the original Ben-Yehudah?
Brother Enoch.
Enoch.
Prince Enoch. It was Prince Enoch. It was Prince Enoch.
Because there's a brother named Aish, right?
Yeah. But Aish was there, but it was Prince Sodia and Prince Enoch. And when Prince Enoch moved down there.
Right. No Prince Sodia.
Okay, so that's it. You know. So that's the branch, and they still holding the name. But a lot of people may not know the history of Ben-Yehudah, or pretty much the standards, or what we basically was about, strong.
Right. Okay. Toda Nasik, for this moment and whatever we might have missed, you still up here for a little bit more time we could cover.
Oh yeah, I'll be here to at least past the weekend. So the following Monday, whatever the date is. So
right.
most of the and a happy Hanukkah for those that's observing
right.
Hanukkah, because and that's a good thing, a good period as well, because you have Israelites fighting the same enemy for a different reason.
Okay.
And if you're going to talk about reform movement, that's a strong part of reform movement, right, where people want to become actual citizens and to do what everybody else do.
Right.
And try to blend in and make it fit in. So it's very interesting, saga in history. You won't find it in Tanakh now.
Right.
165, 168 circa, BCE.
Right.
but the temple's still standing. Right. Since we agree later on that's,
right,
70 CE. So that historical data and stuff like that, and I'm sure those that might listen to Chief Uziel that speaks on it and different ones, you're gonna get a lot of insight and a lot of political things that's going on as well. Because Rome didn't come in uninvited. Right. With that, I say Shalom Aleichem.